you've thrown me in at the deep end, and I did volunteer because I would never like to see a Wednesday night without a demonstration. You've had demonstrations for the last 5 years, so I didn't want to see you without one tonight. So I have jumped in.
I do appreciate
anybody who anybody who knows me, I have a tiny little workshop at the moment. My new one is getting built, so I've stolen my wife's phone, so I'm seriously in trouble. But it does mean that I can see you, and hopefully you can see my lathe.
Yes,
I did say
we
to
can see it.
Dane, I don't want to go on for hours and hours, and we want to try and do a very, very simple demonstration, and it is predominantly what I do. Most of my work is turned between centers. I don't do carving, coloring. I tend to be more production. I produce an item, put it to market. If the market buys it, then I make lots of it, and that's the way that I do it. Some of my items are very, very cheap and very quick. That I sell an awful lot of them. Other items stick around for a while, but not very long. Okay, to make a start tonight, what we're going to do, or what I thought we'd do, the quickest thing for me to do is a cane topper. There is a couple of things that might come across that will help some people. With the cane toppers, with any blank, whatever you put on the lathe, if it's going to have a hole in it, you want that hole to be central. So what I do is when I cut my blanks, and I cut them all the same size, I'll put it underneath this one. I cut them all the same size. If I'm going to make two of something, you need to start off with the same size timber. If you start off with the same size timber, it makes life a lot easier. You can reproduce two very, very easily. As I said, because these are cane toppers, I want holes in them, and I want my holes to be central. So all of the blanks are pre-drilled. I cut all my blanks, and I pre-drill all of my blanks. And then I'm ready to start turning. Even when I do them with a natural edge, and I just use branch wood, still it's just drilled out central first. Turn between centers, some of you will notice that I just have a point drive, what I call a point drive on here. Very rare do I see anybody using one of these point drives. In fact, the first time I ever saw anybody using one, it was actually Dane one night when he did a demonstration. And I was so relieved that I wasn't the only turner out there that has one of these point drives. By using a point on the drive, you're not actually driving. What you're doing is you're creating a friction between the two points. So sometimes you will get where the wood actually stops turning. And that's when you need to tweak your tailstock up. Obviously, when you go to your lathe, you should be knowing what you're turning. There's a lot of turners go to a lathe with a bit of wood and then decide what that wood is going to become. And that's not the best way of doing things. If you draw it, or you have a design before you go to your lathe, it's a lot easier. Okay, so I know that I'm going to be making a couple of these, and we'll make a couple of cane toppers. For anybody who doesn't know, you guys must have them over there. This is a bamboo cane, goes in your garden. And basically, it just holds plants up. And all I'm doing is I am creating something to go on the top of that cane to stop you poking your eyes out. And it looks like that. I sell them as a set of 5. And I sell them in whatever shape I decide to make them in at the time. But the 5 that I do are these. Like that.
And I'm sorry, Martin, what are they for?
They go on the tops of garden canes.
Flower bed decorations, Matt.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, they stop you pointing or catching your eyes on the top of these canes. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So very, very sensible, very, very easy thing to turn. They're not complicated. We're going to use two tools. That's another thing that I wanted to speak to you about tonight. I know you're on my lathe camera.
I can switch over to the other.
Yeah,
Martin.
switch over to me for a second, Dan, if you can.
Okay.
Got
There,
me?
we just had you on.
Just got me.
There we go.
So predominantly, I'll only be using two tools. Now, my skew chisel that I use, you will not have seen before. And I often get asked about the skew chisel. You will see that I end up cutting backwards. I break every rule with my skew chisel. Certainly the Register of Professional Turners said that I shouldn't be using a skew that is at 45 degrees. It effectively makes 90 degrees when I put two of them together, to give you an idea. I have used this for about 10 years now. And the idea of that come from this one, which is the Russian knife. This one's the small Russian knife. And that's how I started using this skew. And you will see when I'm using it tonight, please don't use your standard skew cutting the way that I cut tonight. The other tool that I'll be using is my rough and gouge. This is my go-to tool. I often get criticized, but what I say is when an artist does a drawing, he sketches it out, a rough drawing. This gouge is exactly that. It is a roughing out gouge. So you rough your shape out and then refine your shape. And most of it can be done just with one of these. Right, so we'll just make sure, obviously, that the tool rest is not anywhere near the wood when we start her up. You'll have to go back onto my other camera now, Dave. I think you've got me.
Yep, I got you.
Okay. I'll put my safety glasses on. I only use safety glasses when I'm turning. Very rare do I put a face shield on because I like to listen to what my lathe is telling me. Again, can be criticised for it, but you have to remember that the majority of my work, if not 95% of my work, is between centres. So working on between centres, if a piece is going to come off, I've got 25% chance in being hit because it's going down, up, left or right. So my chances of being hit are vastly reduced. Whereas on a chuck, it could be coming straight at you. So I do only ever wear my glasses. I don't wear a face shield. But it's for that reason that I don't wear a face shield. I can hear what the lathe's telling me. Okay, we'll fire it up. Hopefully there's a noise reduction.
Yeah, it's reduced.
Yeah, good. Square around.
Hey, Martin,
Yes.
we had a number of questions in chat. We're wondering if you could zoom the camera in so we could see how you're using the knife a little better.
I think you may be limited on that. Are you able?
Let me just let me try and drop this down a touch. If we do, we've got a few tie wraps in the way, but we'll give it a go. How close is that?
So it's a little closer.
Is that better?
We were wondering where the tool was contacting the wood. Are you above center?
Yeah. Well, what I'll try and do is if I bring it down without wearing this phone.
That's a little bit better. If you can just show without turning the lathe back, can you show or explain the tool contact, the height of the tool rest?
Right. So I won't have the lathe on. So what I'm doing is I'm using the front point of the tool and I am going in with the point. And then in exactly the same way as the skew works, I am cutting over on itself all the way. I could continue coming over the cut and turn the skew round and take it into the recess, but I don't, because as I come over here, my body movement hasn't got enough room to be able to twist. So what I tend to do is I can work that ball a lot easier by bringing it into here and over the top and into here and over the top. So you're still getting a cutting motion, you're not getting a scraping motion, and you can see that on the actual piece.
Oh yeah.
I can see that now. Thank you, Martin.
While you're there, while you're balanced, what I'll try and do, let me just finish this one off and we'll throw another one on. Let's just make sure my phone's going to stay where it is. So I'll try and turn a mushroom this one. I will try and slow down a little bit for the camera. What I'm doing there is I am completely doing the opposite of what you've all been taught. But if anybody tells me that I am scraping, they're wrong. Because with this, that's not a scrape.
Correct. So real quick, while you're stopped, Martin, there's been a slew of questions. So
Is
let's
there?
start first. Yeah, let's start first with what's the diameter of your skew stock there? What, 15 mil?
Yeah, for the toppers, it's 1.5 inch.
No,
So I
on
use
this on the skew itself. Is the
on the
bar?
skew is 1/2 inch.
Yeah. What is that diameter?
1/2 inch.
1/2 inch.
Yeah.
And then
So
how deep?
it's a 1/2 inch round bar skew. And because of the way that I've angled it, I'm actually getting nearly 3/4 across the blade.
Okay. And it's ground at 45 degree.
Yeah, if I get, let me just get another one.
Can you switch views?
Right,
He's
so
on the other camera.
there is, am I on the other camera? Flip me over on the other camera.
Okay, I'm getting there.
You found me, Dane?
I got you. Had you. There we go.
So there's 2 of my skews. I always have 2 or 3 because I just change them over so that they're always sharp. If I put them together, they
Yeah, 90.
almost make 45-degree angle. So that gives you an idea of what this cut is. Also, you need to have a concave bevel. So when I put it onto my grindstone, I literally have it at the angle that I want it. So I'm just putting it straight onto the top of the grindstone, and the wheel is cutting there. And it's giving me a concave underneath and a concave. When I turn it round, I put it onto there, and it gives me a concave bevel at that side as well. So anybody who's got the Sorby sharpeners, you do have a problem with it because it can't. A Sorby gives you a flat bevel. Yes, hollow grind. Any more, Dan?
The other
Yes.
question were how deep, how big around is the stick that goes into the ground, and how deep into the little thing on top do you drill it?
Sorry, just give me that again.
The stick that's in the ground and that this little thing sits on top of, what's the
Right.
diameter of that, and how deep do you go into the
I
little,
almost
you do pre-drill?
I almost go all the way at the bottom. So again, you'll be able to see there if I take that out, almost to the bottom of it.
Great. And
And
that's
the
like, is that a 1/2 inch also?
it's the hole is 10 mil
Gotcha.
because it fits most garden canes. So whatever 10 mil is, it's just under 1/4, isn't it? And the idea is that the weight and the hole keeps it on the top. It stops it from falling off.
Very good. And then we'll talk about the Russian lathe knife after the demo.
Right.
All right. Thank you,
do
Martin.
this one. I'll try and I'll do this one, and I'll do it a little bit slower, and then we'll do quickly a natural edge one because people like to see natural edge so that it doesn't fall off. We'll give this one a quick go. Come on, catch up. Okay, we'll pop on an up for later on. Where's my box gone? Lost my little box.
There we go.
There we go. Anybody got any questions?
Very nice, Martin.
Do you put
And then,
do you put a finish on them?
Yes, I just oil them. I use a Danish oil for outside because they're going outside. And literally, all as I do, I cut them with a skew, and you've seen how much sandpaper I use. It's just a matter of getting rid of the little tiny bit on the top. where I've cut it off, and they are just to go in the garden. So you don't want to be spending an awful lot of time on them. When they're oiled up, they slightly darken down.
Mhm. And
But that's all I use. I just use it. It's just a Danish oil.
the type of wood?
These are all made in oak. That one is English yew. So predominantly oak.
I'm thinking something with color and it would add to my flower bed.
Something with colour wood. Don't forget that outside your timber will eventually go grey. Even if you put a UV protection Danish oil on, you'll find that over time it will grey. So what you have got to try and do is get the shape right, because if the shape's right and you can instantly look at it and say that's a mushroom, once the sun's dyed it out, it's still a mushroom. It still looks like a mushroom. I use a bit of yew sometimes, which gives a bit of colour. But predominantly my customers are quite happy with just an oak topper.
Right. I'm thinking also that if I'm just making them for myself, as easy as they are to make, if they only last a year, it's fine.
Well, the other one I do is bulrushes. I haven't got a bulrush blank, but normally, again, they're just turned between centres, and when they go on a gardening cane, I can probably get a hold of one because there's one in my garden. Give me 2 seconds and I'll bring a bulrush.
So bulrush is the same as what we call a cattail over here.
Oh,
So you got the rod and then you got the little brown furry thing. So he makes all that out of wood,
okay.
different colored species.
That's a bulrush.
There you go.
So this one's been in my garden probably about 3 years now. I just Danish oil it each year, but I am lucky because I can bring it in and just sand it down.
Okay. Yeah, I empty my flower beds and bring everything inside anyway, every winter.
Here, Martin, let's show it on the big screen on your other phone.
That one.
There we go.
Okay.
So, like I say, they sell really well. But the cane toppers,
If you make them bulrushes just a hair smaller, the flower shops just love them for putting in vases.
perfect for going in flower vases, definitely. Indoors. That's where I got my idea from. I saw somebody making a bulrush to go in a vase of flowers, and I thought they'd look good in the garden next to the pond. And instantly I started making the big ones, and away I went.
Out of curiosity, how much do you sell them for?
They are really cheap. These are £15 for 5. These are £15 for 3.
Okay.
So I think that's about $20 for 3 of these. The difference is not last year because I was moving workshop. The year before, we did 3,000 of the bulrushes, so 1,000 sets. And this one, we only started halfway through the previous year, and we did 200 sets. They are very, very much a pickup item. I do sell quite a lot. These have surprised me this year because they've sold online.
So you just sell the toppers, Martin, and the customer's responsible for the canes?
I don't know. The customer's responsible for the canes. Even when I do shows, I never take canes. There's nothing worse than people walking around with a cane.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, right you are,
so-
buddy. Right you are.
and the postage, you can imagine that these will just go into a little box. And in the UK postage, I can almost include on them because they cost me £3.45 to post out. And the wood, like I said, it's 2.5 inches long, 1.5 inches square. So I buy boards for the clocks of 1.5 inches, and the offcuts make the bulrush tops. So there's plenty of room in it there for the waste timber coming from the main trunk.
Right.
Anybody else got any questions?
So there's questions, all kinds of questions on the lathe knife. So if you could
The
show
Russian
that,
knife.
explain,
Yeah, show us the Russian
explain
knife.
that.
Right. Well, let's show you the proper Russian knife. Because I showed you the mini one. This is the mini Russian knife. That has a blade not much larger than my Skew. This is a proper Russian knife. If you have a look on YouTube and you type in Russian knife or Russian lathe knife, you will see certainly a Russian guy using one of these prolifically. He uses it for just about everything. That one and what is the Russian hook tool. The Russian hook tool is different from any other hook tool in the fact that it is sharpened at both sides, which allows you to go right the way across. So if you imagine you've got a bowl on, you would normally start on the right-hand side and go to the center. You would never go past center. Because obviously if you go past center, it's going to throw the tool out and you're not going to cut. With the Russian hook tool, you go right across the bowl.
Yep.
So it does take a bit of mastering. You've got to change your weight in effect halfway across the bowl because it cuts up on the up over and down on the down over as it goes round. So even this one I have struggled with to get to terms with the up cut and the down cut. The lathe knife isn't much different to the Skew. I certainly wouldn't run out and buy one. I've had one 7 years now. I buy them from Hungary. I do sell them, but I only sell them to order. Because when I go to Hungary, I order them from the factory, from the blacksmith that has made these for 45 years. And I wanted an original Russian knife. So I bought one from there. And sometimes I bring them back in. And I have sent one or two over to America, but they are very, very expensive and they are very expensive to post. So I wouldn't go out looking for an imitation one. Do you need one? My answer to that is no, you don't. You've seen, I've got a tool bag of tools over there that I take out for demonstrations. I've got a load of stuff behind me, and I've used 2 tools tonight to create what I've wanted to do. And these 2 tools will be on my lathe for tomorrow because they will still do what I want them to do tomorrow. These will sit in the arsenal of tools to just say I've got them. So don't go wasting your money on tools. Waste your money on holding. Because if you can hold it, you can turn it. If you can't hold it, you can't turn it. So chucks are important. Your centers are important. I can't really show you the arsenal of centers that are above my lathe, but there is certainly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is about 9 or 10 different size tail live centers and about 9 or 10, if not more, headstock drives. And the reason for that is because when I'm making something, if it's got a hole in, let's say, for example, this one, this used to be a live center. And because it was a cheap live center, the bearing fell off it. And I kept it. And it now becomes a drive. And that fits these, which are my cartridge keyring blanks. And because it was a live center, it has a Morse taper. It has a taper on the end of it. So it holds my blanks perfectly.
Oh, there you go. Perfect drive center.
So it's holding and working out how you're going to hold it and how you're going to turn it more than just going out and buying random tools that you think will work for you. If you're not using the tool, it's not going to work for you. You've got to practice with the tools that you've got. Anything else, Dan?
I believe that was it. If there's any other questions, feel free. The floor is open, folks.
Can I just say, I'm just going to dive in because in England now it is the 4th of July. And the 4th of July, I need to say, Happy Independence Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
The whole of America needs to say Happy Birthday, Martin, because it's my birthday on the 4th of July.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
Happy birthday, Happy birthday, Martin.
And here I am demonstrating.
You know,
Hey,
we
I
celebrate
told you
your
last
birthday
week.
by lighting up the sky with fireworks. So happy
Yeah,
birthday.
I need to. I've always said it is definitely on my list to come to America and experience my birthday at one of the biggest celebrations in the world.
Well, I'll tell you
Undoubtedly.
what. Like I said last week, I hope every Wednesday is a black tie night. That was a
Hey,
great demonstration.
if you come, we'll find somewhere for you to stay. Come and
Oh,
spend extra
believe me,
time and
oh yeah, there'll be places. There'll be places
do
for you
know-
to stay.
I do know
Plan
I'd love
it
to
out.
get over and meet so many of you. So watch this space because I will get myself over and we will all get together at some point.
We're coming over to meet you, so one of these days we'll have.
Well, do that as well.
Have bangers and mash.
Bangers and mash.
yeah.
Hopefully I'll
several
see you in
pints.
November.
Yes, my favorite food is bangers and mash. Right.
That's
If
one
nobody's
of
got
my
any more
favorites when
questions,
I go to UK.
if
No, I think
nobody's
that's it.
got any more questions, what I'd like to do, Dane, is I just wanted a quick demonstration because again, on a Wednesday night, it's very important for everybody to
Right.
show
Yeah.
their work. So if there's no other questions, I am quite happy to turn everything off, go back and sit on my settee and join in the party.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you very much, Martin, for standing
All
in
right.
tonight. I appreciate that.
Martin,
No problem.
Martin, it was very enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
All right.
Thank you
Nice.
very
All
much.
right.
It was very enjoyable.
Thank you,
We'll
Martin.
see you on the inside.